Okay, here we go. Off to adventure. Hi, I'm Chuck Braverman. This is another episode of Westdoc Online. We're brought to you in part by Real Screen. Real Screen West is happening June 6th through 9th at Dana Point. I'll be there. I hope if you see me, you'll come up and say hello. All the buyers and producers and wannabes and superstars are going to be there, so you should be too. It's going to be a great event. We have a very interesting film, which I actually discovered through Hot Docs, which I'm going to ask the filmmaker about. And the film is called The Visitors, directed by Veronika Lišková. Hi, Veronika. How are you?
Hi, Chuck. I'm good. Thank you.
Did I pronounce your name?
Yes,
properly?
You did very well.
Okay. And you are coming from where are you right now, physically?
Okay, I'm now in Prague, Czech Republic. So just in the heart of Europe.
In the heart of Europe. Well, I've actually been to Prague. Okay. And the reason I've been to Prague is because my older son, Alex, did a semester when he was going to NYU. He went to a semester in Prague. And so we went over and visited him there. Okay. And it's very unusual that we have a filmmaker on from the Czech Republic. And I'm really happy that you're here on our series. Can you tell me, well, you know what, before we begin, let's take a look at the trailer.
Je tak hrozně příjemný představovat si sebe sama daleko od domova. Na vzdáleným, izolovaným ostrově.
Hello, this is Zdenka Sokolíčková. I'm a social anthropologist, and I was wondering whether you would agree to meet me. Do you feel at home in Longyearbyen? Is this your home?
It is very strange and very bad to live in a place where the government only saying too many foreigners. I
don't mind speaking English, but this is my hometown. I would prefer speaking Norwegian.
I am like a professional and then I want to work here, but the situation is like forcing me to go back.
If you try to double as a researcher and a social worker, I mean, that's probably not going to work.
Okay, so The Visitors, you didn't say to yourself, I want to go spend a few weeks on a beach somewhere and relax and just mellow out. You went to the most northern city in the world. How do you pronounce the name of the city?
Longyearbyen.
Longyearbyen,
yeah.
In Svalbard, Norway?
Yes, right? Svalbard archipelago. Yeah, it's not like a part of Norway, but it's under the Norway supremacy, I would say.
Well, if it's not a part of Norway, what is it a part of?
Actually, it's not the same as mainland Norway, but after the First World War, the Norway got sorry, I'm very slow. They got kind of permission to look after Svalbard. But its legislation jurisdiction is different to the mainland Norway. So it's not like the same as the other parts of Norwegian Kingdom.
What's the population there, roughly? Do you know?
Roughly it's about 3,000 people, and the town of Longyearbyen has about 2,500 people in total.
And what percentage of them are Norwegian?
It's around 60%. It differs each year. It depends also on the part of the year, on which season is it, because it's you have a kind of very fluid population in Longyearbyen, because there is a lot of seasonal workers coming to the town because of tourism and other activities, and also for science, because there's the world's not the most university there, so there's a lot of scientists who are coming to the town for a just specific part of the year to do some kind of research and so on.
And it's the science that they're doing, I assume, has a lot to do with global warming.
Yeah, definitely. But also Arctic engineering, and there's a lot of glaciologists who are coming there. Of course, it's also connected to the global warming. There's a lot of biologists who are coming to the town also to study specific things. Biologists, yes. Mm-hmm.
And you decided to go there because, and how and why?
Yes, I had a specific reason, because before because I went to study filmmaking, I studied social anthropology. At the time, I had one particular classmate there. Her name is Denka, and I never doubted that this lady will have a very fruitful academic career, and I followed a bit over the years what she was doing. And one day I received an email from her, and she was writing me, look, Veronika, I will pack my family in 3 months, and I will go to live on Svalbard, because I will do there an intense field work dedicated to the different set of accelerating changes, different set of changes that are that are related to globalization. And my plan is to stay there for 2 years. And that was it. And I was kind of fascinated by what she wrote me. I wanted to know a bit more about her research. I wanted to know a bit more about her family plans, because I knew that at the time she had 3 small kids, and it was kind of hard for me to imagine that how it might have functioned for the family to move to this really remote, isolated place in the high Arctic. So it triggered my imagination, triggered my curiosity, and I decided to make a film about her private, but also about her professional experience.
And remind me, where was she from and her husband?
They were also based in Prague at that time. Mm-hmm.
And so then what were the logistics of how did you get the project together and raise the money, and what was the crew, and how long were you there? I mean, it's so daunting to see this film and to wonder, how the heck did you get this made?
Okay, what we are lucky in the Czech Republic that we have our film fund. It's a public film fund, so we applied to the, let's say, for the very first development money with my producer. And the first application was declined, but fortunately my producer, she somehow really believed in this project, so she decided that she will finance our first shooting trip out of her pocket. And she said, yes, you have to go there. I believe you will bring a good material, and we will edit some teaser that we can then present to the financiers. And so we did, and then we reapplied to our film fund, and they gave us a green card, so we got very first little money to go on with the development. And after that, we found first co-producers. Like first one was from Slovakia, which is just our neighboring country, and in Czech Republic we very often co-produce with Slovak producers. And then we got also Norwegian co-producers on board. So it was a like 3-side co-production at the end, and I think that without having those partners, we would be never able to film this film, because we went to Svalbard 7 times. So we maybe spent over 2 months on the archipelago, on the islands. And although I was there always just with the most minimalist crew you can imagine, that was always me, my DOP, and like soundman, sound recordist, and that was it. But still, it was quite like expensive the location to film. So we had to like manage with some kind of more punk style conditions but when we were filming there, but we somehow managed. Hopefully, I believe we did somehow.
So it was you, a cameraman,
yes,
and a sound person. I like to get into the geeky stuff and ask some technical questions. What kind of camera were you shooting there?
We used it was first we went there with oh, sorry, I have to find the proper words in English. It was a like bigger Sony F7 camera.
Yes,
but then
that camera.
Yeah, because we thought, okay, this definitely should work in terms of specific climate conditions, because it's really like a very solid camera. But then obviously, as we were filming in a small community, small town, we didn't want to be that much visible, and so we decided to go to a like Panasonic. It was GH1 small camera with so and it worked very well. My DOP did a proper research about like how this new version of Panasonic camera would work in low light conditions, and how
Did it look like a little DSLR small body?
Yeah.
And what was the temperature there? Well, I guess you're in centigrade. So what would it be in centigrade? And
in centigrade, like the minimum temperature was minus 30 degrees. So which isn't a lot. It's not like immensely. It wasn't immensely like freezing. It's because it's although you are really in the high Arctic, it's that you have this Gulf Stream around Svalbard archipelago, so it makes the archipelago a bit warmer, I would say. So it was usually between 5 degrees above zero, and then up. The minimum was this like 30.
So 0 in centigrade is 32 degrees in Fahrenheit. So if you say 5 degrees above zero, it might have been, I don't know, 35 degrees in Fahrenheit at the height.
Yeah.
Which is a chilly day, but 30 degrees below zero is quite cold.
It is.
And that's seen in the trailer with the Zenka and one of her little children walking in the wind and all that. It didn't look very warm there. It looked quite chilly. And so where did you stay when you were there? Were you in one of the hotels?
No, we wouldn't be able to afford paying hotel, but good thing was that there is a Czech polar station in the town, so we had a possibility to stay at the Czech polar station with the scientists there. So we shared with the guys one tiny room, but yes, we managed, and it allowed us to be able to shoot for more days, as we saved some money for paying.
That sounds like another film that you could have made at the same time about that.
Some behind the scenes. No, yeah, but the good thing is that I know, like, at least my DOP, I've known him for, we studied together at the film academy, so we have known each other for more than 15 years. So it's, then you can manage specific conditions like sharing.
And so what did you say? You took 7 or 9 different trips
Yes,
there over what period of time?
Seven trips, and in total, it was like maybe 2 months that we spent there. Usually went there for 8 or 10 days. Sometimes it was a bit shorter when we towards the end of the when we were about to close the editing. We went on the for 5-6 days, depending on what we needed.
How many hours do you know roughly of video did you shoot, and how long was the editing process?
Okay, I believe we had like 150 hours of the material, but another story was the material that was shot by Zdenka and her husband, because they had their own small GoPro camera they were using, and they kept sending me the material that they shot, and I think that it was, maybe 200 hours of material that I was like constantly browsing and looking at. But although I knew that probably very small pieces from their home videos will end up in the final cut, it was still really, really important for me to have this kind of flow, like video material flow, coming from them, because it allowed me to be not only in touch with them but also with the location of the place, and somehow it triggers my visual imagination also, I would say.
So I assume they had good internet connections there, and they were uploading the footage to you via...
Yeah, I would say that rather they were kind of patient uploaders. Yeah, it wasn't super fast, but they somehow managed.
And is this film now, is this premiering at Hot Docs? Or
No, we had no. Actually, we had a premiere in Locarno last August. And since then, the film has been traveling quite a lot. And we had a North American premiere at the Chicago International Film Festival. And now this will be like Canadian premiere.
And do you know, what are the distribution plans for the film? How can somebody see this film?
Well,
especially here in the United States or other places?
I guess we will wait a little bit more to see if there are more festivals interested in screening the film, and then we will try to go online. That's for sure. So we will see with Mubi and other platforms, and then we also want to try to see if some educational distribution could work for this type of film. I know that's quite difficult, but let's see.
What's so interesting to me about this film, beside the fact that, it's really not just the story on the surface of people surviving in the cold. It's about this little community not really wanting to change too much. And I mean, one of the giveaway lines in the trailer is the nice lady saying, "I'm comfortable speaking English, but I'd rather be speaking in my native tongue of Norwegian." And it's really about what we say here. There's an expression called NIMBY, not in my backyard, right? And there's a story on the front page of the LA Times today about a community in the LA area not wanting development in their community. They don't want to change their community. And it's, in a way, as far away as we are from this Arctic ice region, the story is sort of the same in a way, is the Norwegians that are there and in the majority are a little taken aback by the tourists and the different languages, and probably even her speaking English. Was she doing that strictly for the film, or was that sort of a universal language, or did she speak Norwegian? Did you speak Norwegian?
No, I didn't.
No.
I'm not that fast with languages, but Dinka is, and she was able to learn Norwegian just in 3 months. So, her speaking English with the respondents was more because of the film, I would say, because so I could follow. the conversations. Of course, with some respondents, it wouldn't be possible to speak Norwegian, so she often had to switch between Norwegian and English. But with the Norwegians, she would if it was without the camera, she would definitely hold the interviews in Norwegian.
And how are they doing back in? Are they living in Prague or outside of Prague somewhere? Where they lived? How are they doing?
Well,
now?
Their Arctic experience somehow influenced also their, let's say, ability or rather inability to go back to the city. So they decided not to go back to Prague. So they moved to the countryside. So now they live in a small, one of the small Czech towns, basically in the house where Zdenka grew up when she was a small girl. And they commute or they sometimes have to go, of course, to Prague or other cities to do the lectures and so on. But I think they are enjoying the fact that they are closer to nature.
One of the successes of the film, or one of the keys to the film, which you may have known from the get-go, or maybe you didn't know, but I would say is that she is very appealing on camera and very, you're on her side from the get-go. You know what I mean? She's so likable, and her husband and her family, are very likable, and they're very appealing and attractive, and it's so almost disorienting to watch them out there in the below freezing, wind blowing Arctic terrain, and so what was your prior film that you did called Daniel's World? What's that about? I haven't seen that.
It's completely different subject, and it's a kind of dark subject because it deals with the theme of pedophilia, but seen from a slightly different perspective, because it's a, let's say, kind of a story of forbidden love that can be never fulfilled. It's also a very intimate portrait. I followed a guy who was born with this very dark orientation, but who never acted out, who never committed any kind of crime. So I was trying to show what does it mean to live with this kind of destiny. Yeah.
So this film was like a light, easygoing comedy compared to that film.
I would say. Maybe, yeah.
And how can you, for those of us who aren't familiar with the film school, was it the film school within Charles University, or was it separate?
No, we have a film academy. We have the
Academy of Performing Arts in Prague.
Yes, and that has...
Can you tell me a little bit about that? What's that like?
This Academy of Performing Arts has a couple of divisions. You have a specific division for film, and then you have a specific division for theater, and then a specific division for music. And my division was this Film and TV School of Performing Arts. And then you have under this school, you have a specific departments. I didn't study documentary filmmaking. I studied script writing and dramaturgy, but I still had a chance to try to direct during my studies, although I was supposed to be trained as a script writer. I still could try to film some small student pieces, and that this slowly brought me to directing. But then we have like as I said, also you can study documentary directing, you can study camera, you can study photography at this school, you can also study directing for fiction. And then we had the animation department and sound department, and then the department of new media, and that's it. And production department. Sorry, I shouldn't.
That sounds quite impressive.
Yeah.
How many students are there roughly?
Well, hard to say. It's a very, very like big and well-established school. There's a lot of students coming coming from other countries too, and it even has an international department. So, wow, maybe 400 students, I can imagine, I suppose.
And what was the length of time that it took to
You have
edit the film?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about this question of you. In fact, the editing went quite fast. We spent less than 2 months in the editing room, but at the same time, I pre-edited a little bit on my own. I was very well prepared when I went to the editing room with my editor, so I had a very profound, let's say, overview on the material, and I sometimes, even when we had the breaks, I also continued working on myself. But if I should just take the clean time that I spent with my editor, it was maybe 7 to 8 weeks.
Wow, I've never heard a film director say it went quite fast. That's very unusual, and that is fast for a documentary.
It is,
especially something like this, and it's such a moving, emotional, dramatic film in its way. It's quite lyrical and quite successful, I think, and on many levels, and I want to congratulate you.
Thank you
On that. And it says in my notes here that you're working on your fictional debut, The Year of the Widow. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it also has a kind of documentary background, although it's a fiction, and it's a story of a lady who unexpectedly at the age of 40 became widow. And me and my husband, who is a scriptwriter, we were inspired by the diaries that were published in one of quite renowned Czech magazines. And these were the diaries of a lady who described 1 year, let's say first year in her life as a widow. And it was nor pathetic, neither sentimental, but it was very emotional, and it was more or less like a story of inner emancipation, or a story of starting to stand on your own feet, or a story of a new beginning. So it's slightly something different that you would expect when someone says a widow, that maybe you would rather expect a story about grieving or mourning, but this is more about the story of first year, when you start to find a new strength for new beginning, a new life.
And are you going to try and raise the money in a similar fashion through in the Czech Republic?
Yeah. We are still not financed, but we are already in a production. It will be again three part co-production, Czech Republic and then some neighboring countries. So this is what we are trying now to close the gap. But we already started, and hopefully the film we will be done with the filming this year. So maybe next year the film will be somewhere out in the world.
Well, I want to say thank you very much for being a guest on Westdoc. Your film is amazing, and I think it's a huge success, and I think it will be a good calling card for you to move forward with your filmmaking career. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and good luck.
Sequence where the camera. Yeah, I'm just going to nail the front door close.